Welcome back, everybody, to Interesting AF. As you saw, we took a quick hiatus to enjoy the holidays, whichever ones you celebrate, as there were many. And I hope you enjoyed the season of tiptoeing into a new year, hoping nothing breaks. And then things broke anyway. So,
Oh my God.
we're
Shattered
doing our
into a
best.
billion pieces.
Billion pieces. And that's why we're drinking on an afternoon that is a
Yep.
federal holiday.
What are you
So
drinking,
there you go.
Linda? Tell the world
I
what you're
am
drinking.
I'm drinking my espresso martini granita, which consequently I was trying to make jello shots and they didn't take. And I think I didn't put enough gelatin. I put too much tequila because I make my espresso martinis with tequila.
I love an espresso martini with a good reposado. My God.
It's,
Mwah. Chef's kiss.
yeah.
Chef's kiss.
So I did not put enough gelatin in the jello shots, so it never
Fair.
took. And I made granita out of it, and then I added Bailey's, and it is a delight.
But like that
It's a
is the
delight.
perfect example of being able to adapt and improvise when shit hits the fan.
Yes.
No matter how small.
And it's really hitting in the fan. My favorite news story of the last weekend was a Politico piece that noted a EU official saying that now was the time to drink. And I was like, girl, we've been drinking for a while.
Yeah, like louder for the people in the back.
Drinking. I would also like to add to everybody, given that last year we had a 6 degrees of Elaine separation, that I finally met a celebrity.
Yes, you did.
And yes, I did. Jane Krakowski.
I'm saying that's an epic fucking one.
It's an epic one. I mean, it's like so on brand. And I will say, Elaine really did inspire me. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try. Okay, also pause. Go watch O'Mary, whatever you do. Just go see it. It does not matter who Mary is. It doesn't matter. It is so good. It's so good. My what the fuck at the end, I was like, whew, thank God I did not yell that out loud. That's all. And that is all I'll say.
I actually screamed with laughter from beginning to end. Like applauded.
My face hurt.
My God,
face hurt
too. It was so like totally worth the hype, even better. Absolute perfection for 90 minutes. Like it was just a kind of like a fever dream, but like one you never wanted to wake up from.
100%. I still haven't woken up from it. I'm still in a fever dream.
Like I just everything about it, from how everybody's billed in the playbill to the vulgarity. I mean,
yes.
It is just so goddamn funny.
And like the message, and it's funny because like the commentary of the play, you don't really get until the end. And then you're like scrambling. You're like, wait, what just happened?
What did I just witness?
What? Oh my God. Like, and this is like the liberal woke propaganda that people are talking about.
Yep.
And I'm like, give me more. I will take whatever Cola Skull is having all the time in my veins.
And so like Linda and I are going to New York City together in a couple months.
Woo!
I'm so excited.
Good luck.
I need to book a train ticket.
Ditto. Well, I'm gonna plan it.
But like I know we were talking about finding a show to go see, and we totally talk about this, but part of me is like, we may just need to see who's gonna play Mary while we're there and just run it back, because I'll tell you what, if Titus is back or if Jinx Monsoon is back in that role, like we might just have to go. Although like, God, that role was like made for Jane Krakowski. Like she got to say fiesta every single time she said it, which was often. And like
Often.
we got some 30 Rock improv. Like it was just
And we both saw it when Cheyenne Jackson was in it too. So it's like
yes.
30 Rock on top of 30 Rock.
Yes. Yes. He looked woof.
Yes.
Like my
Like
God.
more incandescent was like the
Oh,
word that I thought
that is
like
the
when I
perfect
saw it.
word. And you were right up front. So you had a even
Yeah.
better view than I did.
Yeah, it
Like,
was I was
woo,
like, "What's
baby.
happening?" And everybody was like, "Did they spit on you?" I was like, "Yeah, they did."
That was
If
your
you
skincare routine for the night.
It was. And if you see I told a friend of mine who's like seen O'Mary, she lives in New York and like seen O'Mary like so many times. She was like, I sent her the picture with Jane. She's like, go back to ask about a dermatologist. I was like, damn it. Because her skin,
Her
damn
skin looked
girl.
fantastic.
Fantastic. Anyway, and also
It was so good.
I would be loath to remiss about how weird I was to Jane. Like, it was so weird. Like, and she was so kind about it. I will say that. She was so sweet.
Good.
Um, and I was trying to say, hey, I paid attention to the play, and I was, and she was like, oh, like, bye.
Did you see Keanu across the street? Did you get a
No,
glimpse
I
of
didn't. I
Keanu?
didn't because I was like, I walked off in a haze going, what the fuck did you just say to
What did I
Jane
just say?
Krakowski?
So
What
I
did I
say that
just say?
because when you come out of O'Mary, directly across the street right now is Waiting for Godot, which is
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves and oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name, but it's the guy who plays in Bill and Ted with Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves
He's Bill.
on stage together
Yeah.
as like in Waiting for Godot.
Yeah. I've heard mixed reviews on that one.
Yeah, me too. I met someone in New York at Bemelman's bar, which we were so excited to get into in the Carlisle, who went and saw it.
Nice.
Who went and saw it? Actually, no, sorry, he was seeing it that night. And it
Mm-hmm.
turns out he works for a company that our company is connected with. So we connected on LinkedIn, and I checked in with him
Ah,
afterwards. He said it was fantastic. So,
okay.
uh,
Because I hear like mixed things. Some people are like, meh, don't
yeah,
spend the money. Others are people like, oh, I really loved it. Because I think, and that's, I mean, sorry, I'm going to nerd out for 2 seconds, but
no,
essentially that
let's
is
do it. This
the,
is our fucking show. We can do what we want.
that,
This might
yeah,
be old
fuck this.
fashioned talking, but like, fuck this,
Fuck,
because I have
fuck.
another show I'm going to throw out for us to look into for April. BT Dubs when you're done.
Yes. Because I think Waiting for Godot, you either love it or you hate it. Because Waiting for Godot is a very specific philosophical
Yes.
theory. And if you
Yes.
don't espouse or understand existentialism in like a very pure way, because remember, and again, a lot of people will go like, there's Sartre, there's Camus, and there's like a very big like Simone de Beauvoir. There's like very, very much variations on existentialism, and Waiting for Godot is a specific version of that. So if you
Yeah.
don't espouse the philosophy, it can be like, what the fuck just happened?
Or if you go in like not knowing anything
Yeah,
about it, you might be like, what the fuck
exactly.
did I just watch?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so one of the shows that like my new bestie, of course, I will run past him and I will ask him what we
Yes,
should
do
go
it.
see. But one thing he actually mentioned to me in September was speaking of fever dreams, you know, Cats is like just original Broadway perfection.
Yeah,
Andrew Lloyd
of
Webber,
course.
like just the best. And I saw it when I was 10. It was, you know, I knew every song before I saw it, loved it even more after. Obviously, Cats has not been on in a while. They are bringing back, it's called Cats the Jellicle Ball, where it takes the music of Cats, but it's like a New York City underground ball, like from Stonewall Inn, like the ballroom culture, like Pose, like tens across the board
Oh,
category is.
That's
It is
amazing.
it's cats, but it's a ball in like the 80s in New York City is the premise of it. And I'm
Okay,
like,
is Porter gonna be in it? Because he's got to be in
oh
it.
my God, I would fucking die.
I would
I
like
would
that, and
fucking
then that
die.
we don't even have to question where we're going if he's in it.
Yeah, I'll send you because I keep getting very much
Yeah.
algorithm ads for it.
The
But
algorithm is getting quite good, I will say. It's getting a
yeah,
lot smarter.
it's real fast.
Yeah, it
Which is part
is.
of the problem.
Yeah, it is. You're
Because like
like,
if I send
how?
something out of character or like it knows, like when July is near that all my content becomes Tour de France or like because they read our emails, like because I'm signed up for a race in New York, like all of a sudden I'm getting the local New York eats and underground stuff. And so anyway, I'll send you that and we'll have to do some recon for maybe Friday night
Yes, that
when we're
sounds great.
there.
I'm like, yeah, but I mean, I think if we are doing that, I mean, if it's cats, if Porters and cats, there's no way.
And I don't think that's the case now, but like everything that blew up with Cabaret, like he's not involved in that anymore. So who knows? Like that would
Yeah,
be incredible.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'll ask
Oh my
around.
god, that's so exciting. Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
Or we just go see O'Mary again. Although there's so many shows.
Oh
There's
yeah,
so many good shows.
so many good shows.
Which has
Um,
nothing to do with our discussion today, but
of course
who
it hasn't, but
cares?
now who? It's like you said, it's our show.
It's our
We can do
show.
whatever we want.
That's right. We run the
Um,
world.
we do run the world. Don't girls run the world?
That's right.
That's right. Um, so yeah, so I think, the last time we were, chatting, we were saying about how we were going to see a new documentary that Disney had just released about Sally Ride called Sally
Yes.
on Disney Plus. Just spoiler alert, watched it the whole way through. Didn't really like it was very compelling. I will, say that. Also, great hairstyles by Sally Ride the whole way
Oh my
through.
God. Like the
I was
feathered, like,
yes.
oof. I wish my hair could
Yeah,
do that. Whether her
same.
hair was curly or feathered, it didn't matter. Like, which
It
is
did
not
not.
the most impressive thing about her. I know we're going
It's
straight to
it's
stereotypical things, but who
but
gives
I
a
feel
shit?
like
So
we
impressive.
get that out of the way, then we can get
Perfect.
into, all that stuff. And so I think, what this documentary was like, this is the first real documentary from her family, I think, and friends after she
Yeah.
passed away.
Yep.
And it was done by, kind of basic um the major kind of interviewee I'd like to think is was her partner of, however many years.
Almost
So
almost 30 years of fish, like quote unquote officially, but they'd known each other. I did not know that since they were 12.
12. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, so this documentary really goes through her life, and it goes through all, when she, was born, where she was born, and really through like we said, her partner's kind of view, and kind of, obviously Sally Ride passed away a couple of years ago. And I think we kind of discover a lot about her during this whole thing. But I think the thing that we discover the most is, I think us as women that like go through the world, we're like, oh, shit's bad, and like everything's, and then you watch these movies and you're like, oh,
It
shit's
was so
always
much worse.
bad.
Yeah.
It's so much worse, but like in the sense that like things are bad. And like I think one of the most interesting things that they show in this documentary is how Sally responded to like silly little inane questions as she's about to fucking go up into space, right? So, I think that is just, that was like one of the big takeaways for me, where I go, we always think like whatever you're living in, like, is hard, but like it's
Yeah.
always hard in different ways, right?
Right.
So, I think it was just very like, that's what I came out of it, like going,
Yeah.
okay, But then like I have a very hot take about her, and then we can get to the end. But I have a hot take.
I know, and I'm like dying for you to get this hot take out because I have.
I can get it out.
Let's do it. Let's go for it.
Okay. I didn't like her. like the way, like the one thing, well, I can get the what the fuck meter out of the way when it was the story about her in training with like other women astronauts. And one of the women astronauts goes, I'm not sure if Sally
I think
maybe, which is like, which I was like, very, very good for you for not speaking ill of the dead, but also speaking ill of the dead. I was like, it's a fine line to walk. Good for you. But like, not just that, but like, yeah, it's the ambition. There's like small things, like you wouldn't say that about a man, whatever. Like, yeah, men do that shit all the time. Like,
but I also, to your point, I think in that moment, more so than ever, I can totally see where you're coming from, especially with that example. And the example is one of her fellow female astronauts, potential astronauts in the class, was working the arm. I think it's the RMS.
yeah.
And they were training on it, but Sally, she was very good at it. And it was really down to like her and one other female, who they all thought would be the finalists to be the first ones up in space. And if you were well versed on this equipment, you gave yourself a much better chance to be on the crew. And a third woman who's not Sally or Judy, I think the other woman's name was. But this is a third woman who was like, I was training and Sally walked past to go downstairs, and all of a sudden the arm starts malfunctioning and acting all weird. And it's because basically like the circuit breaker for this piece of equipment is on your way downstairs. And she was the only person in and out, and they went to go check on it, and all the little wires had been pulled out. So she's like you said, like very delicately accusing, but not entirely accusing Sally of manipulation. I think she's accusing her of manipulating the
100%
the equipment, but what she's dancing around is making an assumption as to what her motivation to do that was.
Yeah.
And so I can see it in that moment. And then of course, like her ambition, even though she hid it, to be the first woman up in space, saying she didn't want to be, although she really probably did, and they all probably did.
Yeah,
I think what's hard to watch in all of that is like, that is such a moment where, and it's not fair as women, because they did have to work so much, not even twice as hard, 3-4 times as hard. And not just women, but this was the first class they opened to minorities too, right? So anyone who wasn't a white man had to work 3, 4, 5 times harder than the men in the room to prove themselves. That is a moment where, rising tides raises all ships, right? And all women empowering women really does get us further than pitting against each other. And so that to me was the hardest part of that, which is like, yes, you're competing, but at the same time, like you have like, there's got to be a sisterhood there that is unspoken, because like you all have to work so much harder. And a couple of the astronauts, like the male astronauts who were on there, being like, yeah, I thought that they weren't going to do shit. Like, I didn't think they brought anything to the table. I like the rage that was boiling in my blood was just like so insane.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing about her that, like, one of the things I loved, where I was just like fuck yeah, is when they're interviewing her and she corrects them because they called her Ms. Ride. And she said, that's not correct. She said, you can call me Dr. Ride or you can call me Sally, but Miss Ride is not an option.
Yeah.
And they were like, sorry, we messed up that one time. And she's like, and it won't happen again. And I'm just like, girl, yes. Like, but in those moments, that's when, of course, everyone's like, oh my God, she's such a bitch. But like, they wouldn't say that about a man. They really wouldn't.
They wouldn't. And also like,
oh my God, I'm so sorry, Dr. Ride. If she were a man.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean this in the sense that like, it's kind of the age-old question of like, do personality traits start off because of who we are intrinsically, or it's a reaction to what we are dealing with externally, right? So very much so, you could like, she could be like, you know what, I need to do this because this is what I want, but I need to be like subterfuge about it. There's only like a
Right.
couple seats, right? And it's like a lot of the stuff that we see, not in our generation, I think, but like women that are above us or like two rungs above us, where they're like constantly catty and trying to like undermine every woman they see and all that. And of course, there's always women like that, and there's always people like that, right?
Of course.
But like when there are the least amount of places for people, they tend to,
Yes.
go, well, I'm gonna, do what I need for myself. Number
Well,
one, I didn't come here to make friends.
God, if we had $1 from every reality TV show. But also, like, you know, it's I think a lot of that came from several places. We learned about her childhood, where her family, even her mother, I was like, girl, what? God damn. When she's like, even if I knew what I felt about my feelings, I wouldn't tell you. It's like, good God, like what trauma, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Goodness.
Right.
And that is one of those, like, we're such a generation of breaking the cycle that
100%.
for Sally Ride to have grown up in a household where you didn't talk about your feelings, you didn't show emotion, to your children, or that learned behavior, and then for her to have to hide who she was because
Yeah.
she was gay, to have to compete so much harder because she was a woman, and then just the nature of being in one of those classes. It's competitive. I feel like it was just like a bad confluence of things that probably really did make her come off as like not a nice person.
Yeah. And
But
it's
it
not
was
a
so nice, is it balanced from her partner and her friends who were like, no, she was funny, she was a great person, like.
yeah. And I mean it in the sense that like,
You thought you were gonna love her. You thought she was like a
I thought, I
national
was just
treasure,
gonna,
and she is. Yeah.
exactly. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I really liked this documentary,
Yeah,
is
no, it makes
because
perfect sense.
they show the person how she was or how they were, and it's not hiding any, because it's a documentary that comes out in 2025. Most people that are gay are out. There's no, there, of course, there's a lot of issues that we need to talk about in our society. We're working on a lot of things to progress, to make sure people have the rights they deserve, that they, are earned, because they're humans. Um, uh, but I
What a
think that's
concept.
what this coming out now, like, it was seen, because a lot of people are going to see it through the lens of like, what's the big deal? Why wouldn't she? What? And then you see
People didn't know
everything
she was gay until she died.
died until
It was
after
a
she
secret her
died,
whole life.
when Obama gave, the Medal of Freedom, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to her partner, and she was like, oh, it's her partner, and everybody was like, wait, what?
I'm sorry, what? And then it's like, oh, he was her partner of 27
Even
years.
years.
And what was really interesting to me too is her partner Tam grew up with a supportive family. She was out since she was, what she said, like 19.
Yeah.
She also was a tennis star, and in that world there were a lot of lesbian women, gay women who she could were all out together, and it didn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter, it just, people didn't make a big deal out of it, and there wasn't the horrible beliefs in that community that there are.
Yeah, she was in a
today.
bubble. Tam was in a bubble.
It was in a
that
bubble,
Sally
and
was
where she could be out and proud. But I think that
Sally was not.
Sally was not. But I think it like speaks to the respect they had for one another, that like Tam was okay with, and not that she was okay, but that they kept it a secret for that long.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, to a certain degree, like, they show Billie Jean King, they show kind of what happened to her. So like
I,
like
like
I think
I was
people
incensed again, yet again, just incensed.
that's actual cancel culture. Can
That's
everybody?
actual cancel culture for someone just being who they are.
Yeah. Um Side note, I watched Ricky Gervais' new special.
I heard it's good. It's a little dark, isn't it? Right?
It's good. Yeah, but he's dark. Like
Yeah, yeah.
he's not
He's
like
funny.
a
It's dark. It's
yeah,
funny.
he's
Yeah.
funny. So what I like about it is he talks about cancel culture. Though I will say this, as a white man, I think it's interesting that they think cancel culture exists. Because cancel culture doesn't really exist for a white guy.
No.
Even for guys to a certain degree, like even if they're
Yeah.
minorities, like anything that like happens, like yeah, they'll lay low and then they'll come back. But like women and like minorities, minority women and all that, you'll find like there's a lot bigger stakes than just like having to lay low for a couple of things. And so I found that part interesting. Like I didn't agree with everything that does, still funny. But I think that harkens back to like this specific thing and made me think of this because, you know, I think in the movie they show perfectly well why Sally wanted to stay in the closet.
Yes,
Like
which was
even
very
though
interesting.
even though I like sat there going like, her making her partner feel like that, it didn't endear me to her. Like I like to a certain degree, I go, I get what you're doing, but like she's clearly suffering because of this, right? Like, and I think there's like a what's it called? A reckoning for their relationship in there, and like you get that and all that stuff. But like I think the movie does a great job of showing how big the stakes were for her.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
how much was riding on like because Sally really did feel like she was like a beacon to women scientists and little girls that like were thinking about doing science and all of that. So I think that's what because at first I was like, why are you doing this? And then I'm like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. She couldn't do anything else but
Love that it wasn't all of the women in that class when they kept asking questions like and I'm forgetting her last name, but Judy, the other woman that I mentioned too, they kind of said the two of them were really kind of top of the class, especially in terms of like the women that were in that introductory class, or in, excuse me, not introductory, but in that first class of astronauts that had been open to women. She was asked the question on an interview where she's like, is there a difference between male astronauts and female astronauts? And she looked at them and she goes, cut that question. She's like, that's not a
she
question
got
that should be
so
in this interview.
mad. She got
And she
so mad.
should have been, and she was
Yes.
right. Like,
Yes.
for that to be in the early 80s, like for them to be like, get that fucking question out your damn mouth is so amazing, because that was the peak of the time that we as women were being told, just smile and answer the question politely. Don't be mean. Just smile. Don't make someone uncomfortable. Don't push back. We don't push back. We're women. And she's like, get that question out your damn mouth. And I was like, I stood up and clapped. I was like, fuck yes, burn it to the ground.
To the ground.
Like in the same example of being like, it's not Miss Ride, it's Dr. or Sally.
Dr. or Sally.
And then of course the interviewer of course picked Sally. And I was like, fuck you.
Fuck yeah.
I was like, who's that interviewer? I'm gonna look up who they are.
Yeah. And I think I think when they talk about the role that Sally had in this Challenger.
Oh my god.
I had that part. I had to I was like, good for you for asking those questions and like getting the truth out of NASA. But like NASA. Why do I want to say NASA? Like what? Maybe because I want to go to the Bahamas. I just want to flee to
There you
the
go.
islands. Oh,
Just shuttle yourself to the islands.
yeah. Remind me to talk to you about the islands. I have a couple questions,
Okay.
and then about the Grand Cayman.
Oh, girl, I could talk about that for hours.
I
My
know.
favorite place on the planet.
I know. And so I was like thinking when she was doing that, I was like, in a way, like I feel like she was absolving herself of like all the things that she kind of maybe did to the women, because she was like, of all the her fellow astronaut that died, the astronauts
Christopher
that died, the
McAuliffe. Yep.
women, exactly, that she was like, I'm doing this for them. And you really felt that. Like, and in that moment, you're really like, she cared because she knew cameras were looking at her, and she knew people were saying like she's being aggressive about this and she's doing this and this, but she was doing it for them. And none of the men, at least in the footage, I don't know the rest of it, none of the men were like that. Like she
No,
really,
and what was crazy, I've mentioned this on an earlier podcast. I can't remember which episode we were talking about it, but I mentioned like I worked at a Challenger Learning Center. I went to camp at a Challenger Learning Center for a long time, then was a camp counselor. I got to revisit it recently, which like, oh man, I was like, that was very emotional for me. But when they showed like footage of the class that she entered with, I was like, oh no. I'm like, he was on the Challenger. He was on the Challenger. He was on the Challenger.
Yeah.
She trained with
them,
several members that were on that mission, which is just so hard to watch. But before we started recording, I was telling Linda I just finished the Taylor Jenkins Reid book Atmosphere, and like you have to read it, especially after this documentary and especially after this conversation. Like they mention Sally Ride because obviously she's the first woman in space, but the main characters of the book are also women vying to be like the second and third up in space.
Yeah.
And after watching this documentary and reading that book, I'm like, you can't tell me that each female character in this book weren't a piece of Sally Ride. Because there's I won't spoil anything, but there's a character who's kind of just this like consummate bitch because she just doesn't know how to interact with people very well and doesn't interact with other women that she's competing with well. There's the main character, Joan, who just seems like all the best parts of Sally Ride. And it's just like, it's a beautiful book. And what I loved is like they really kind of explained what it's like to be in one of these classes where you are trying to become an astronaut. You do your application, you get selected, and that's just like the starting point, right? Because then you're not an astronaut yet. You still got to get through all the training and the vomit comet and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I highly recommend reading that book, especially if you're a fan of if you're interested in any of this. It just, there were so many layers of it, right? Like space is interesting. NASA is an interesting organization. Sally Ride is interesting. Sally Ride was the first female in space, first American female in space.
Yep.
The Russians were way ahead of us with that one too. But she was the first LGBTQ plus person in space, but nobody knew it.
Yep.
So like, she's just, there's so many layers to her that like, it's just, it's pretty fantastic. Spectacular. Very interesting.
And I'm gonna have to read that. But I think the book that I just finished, Orbital, which is about space, which is the 2024 Man Booker Prize, doesn't really have to do with Sally Ride, but it's more of like how humans interact with space and Earth. And it's like a lot. And I think it's best suited for our following episode. But I think Taylor Jenkins Reid does that very well. She picks from people and like does amalgams of, and you see this in a lot of her other books that she I'm sorry, my daughter is mimicking me and it's very funny.
It's very cute.
You'll
never get to see that, but it's very cute.
You'll never get to see that. It's adorable. And I think she does that really well, where she like is trying to tell you something about society, and she pulls small things and like and despair like kind of like sparses it out for you to
Yeah.
kind of get to it. And
Yeah.
I really like it when people don't spoon feed you things, and you have to just like sit there and understand, what society is telling you, what these characters are telling you, and then writ large what it's telling you about yourself in context of the story. And I think that's what this documentary I think really does. Like, if you watch it as a woman, and even though like I'm not in a science field, we're not in science fields, but we're science adjacent. I guess we work
Yeah.
in science related industries, right? And I think it becomes the concept of they're so male dominated that we feel, and I think it's less so our generation, because I think we're much quote unquote freer to be ourselves, even though that's debatable about how much.
And where we live is also
Yeah,
much more, and where we grew up, like it's just
yeah,
very different.
it's just very different than what she was experiencing. And I think it's again making the choices that you did with the information that you have. And I
Yeah.
think that is, and I think she tries to redeem herself in like different ways, and like really changed a lot about how the world saw women in STEM.
Mhm.
And she did kind of see the value in that, and I think didn't want to hide that or hinder that by something
Yeah.
from a personal nature that the world wasn't ready to see.
Yeah. What another thing I thought was really interesting was I did not realize she was the first female Capcom in NASA, which like
Yes, yes,
that
yes.
is what I wanted to do as a child. I didn't want to grow up and be an astronaut. I wanted to grow up and I wanted to be Capcom. I wanted to be the person that I wanted to be Ed Harris in Apollo 13. Like that is the job I wanted as a kid. And then I was
Yeah,
like, wait,
yeah,
I gotta be
yeah.
an astronaut and go into science. That sounds horrid. I don't want to
Yeah.
do that.
But anybody can go into science if they want to.
Anyone can go into science, anyone can be an astronaut, anyone should be able to do whatever they want to do and just be able to bring their whole self and their true self to whatever job that is. End of story,
Indeed.
period.
And I think that's fundamentally what the documentary is saying that,
Oh,
we've
100%.
we've come a long way, but we need to keep going, right? I think, especially coming out now during, certain times of, certain, I
It
think
was the worst of times. It was the worst
it
of
was
times.
yes, it was just, but what best, though I will say the internet is getting funnier. I will give it that. The internet is getting funnier.
It is
Is it
getting
because
funnier if you take out the
yes,
constant dread that is also getting
that's true.
more prevalent.
That's true. Fair. But you
But you're
gotta,
not wrong.
it's
You're not
getting
wrong.
funnier. The comments, man. The comments. Way to go, society, for being super funny right now. The people.
Yeah. I feel like it's a millennial mechanism. Like
It is.
we uh,
We just gotta survive. We just gotta survive these
gotta do every
unprecedented
day.
times.
It's the 100th day of January. I'm walking out tomorrow at 2. I'm doing it.
Walking out tomorrow too. Wait, I haven't heard about this.
There's an organized walkout tomorrow at 2:00, or I mean, supposed to be. And the
Okay.
ask is that if you can't like walk out of your job or walk out of school or whatever, is that between 3 and 4:00.
Yeah.
If you can't like walk out at 2, at 3 to 4, you either walk into your congressional the in district congressional office
Yeah.
to call for impeachment, uh or to abolish ICE or like whatever.
Yeah.
Which to me, I'm like, pick one, guys. We got to pick one message as part of the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah. I think, but
Or
that's
call. like to just make one phone call to your or three, your representative and both your senators.
Senators.
There are scripts everywhere.
Yep.
Because it's like, and as someone who calls their representatives not regularly, but like, we work in this type of field, and so I know, I've been on the other side of it. I know that it's impactful and that it works, even though it feels like sometimes, and most of the time it doesn't. It does. If you can just make a phone call, it feels very productive and like your tiny piece of effort if you want things to change.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this not on the Tuesday after MLK Day in the US,
call anyway.
Call anyway.
Call anyway.
Call anyway.
They're there 5 days a week. You can leave messages on the weekend. There's email addresses. They work.
Exactly.
I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. They work for us. We pay their salary. That's what your tax dollars go to.
Yes.
They work for us. You matter. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. We're in an election year. I'm getting on my soapbox.
You should.
November is a very important election. Vote, call, write, show up. It all matters. Every vote matters. As someone who lost an election by one vote, this is like, we're talking about mock Congress in high school, okay?
Yeah, but still, like, that matters.
I can actually say I have lived in a situation, and it wasn't just my election. There was another election in the same year where it came down to one vote. It all matters. It all matters. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't.
And if they're telling you it doesn't, that means they want you not to vote.
They're on the wrong side of history.
That too.
That's what that means.
God bless. God bless. Sorry. And and I think, it comes back to like, a lot of the things that, what happened to Sally and the concept that she was able to like achieve what she was able to achieve, right? Society was opening up. Women were out more and doing, these women were like the daughters of the ones that started going to work and started emancipating themselves and started having bank accounts, everybody.
Well, so here I did some math, which wasn't hard because this is just ridiculous. 1979 was the first year they said that NASA opened applications for women, basically anyone who wasn't just a white man.
Yeah.
It was only 5 years before that women could apply for a credit card in 1974. 5 years. That's it.
But think about like giving women that much like just power, and then all them going like, let's go to space. Like,
yeah, I love it.
The ambitions were like tainted by policy barriers, not because women
our ambition has always been there. It's always been there.
It's not because of brains and not because of capabilities, but because there are literal policy barriers and barriers put in there to keep people from attaining certain things. So I think that's one of the things that people should always remember, that, if you're in a field of people that look like you, most likely the policies that are there are because
who only look like you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Who only look like you, or because you're keeping the policy, you're keeping the other people out for specific purposes. But yeah, I think so my what the fuck meter was obviously in that moment. It was an 8.
Nice. Okay. Solid score.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen that before, but I was like, come on, lady. I was like, that was something that I feel like that was the first, because, her not wanting to come out of the closet. I was like that, those are the times. And like a lot of people still don't feel comfortable
for sure.
Understandable. But like, that was the one where I was like, come on, like, be a girl's girl. I was like, what? But again, when you put spaces and you put, just a certain amount of spots for people, they're going to fight in whatever way they think is appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it was a great documentary. It, like, teaches you about space and how the astronaut program was and how, like, pioneering all the women were. And I do love how they end the documentary with one of the men who had said, "No, I didn't know what they were doing there."
Yep.
And he was like saying,
I
like,
was
I was
wrong.
wrong. And I really truly, like, I appreciated that because they gave him the option to be able to do
To
that.
admit he was wrong. And
Yeah.
two of the hardest things on the planet for anyone, male, female, non-binary, white, black, whatever, one of the hardest things on the planet to do is to especially get on a platform like that and say, I was wrong or I'm sorry. Or both.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
wrong and I'm sorry.
And he
It
did
is
both. And I
so
will
hard
say
to
good
do that.
and I say good for you, dude. Good for you.
And we'll give him the credit that where credit is due, but nothing more than
Indeed.
that.
Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. But yeah, so truly, as always, great choice.
And this was one I actually hadn't seen, right? A lot of times
Yeah,
I've gone back and watched this,
exactly.
so this was new. You know, she was on my list of people dead or alive I would have to dinner. So it was
Yes.
nice to have this like documentary come out since then too. So,
Yeah.
and I stand by it, even though
Yeah.
maybe she was
Yeah.
not like the glowing.
But I mean, the thing is, like,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily about the glowing thing. It's much more for me because and I've talked about this before. I never understand the, like, blind ambition that people have, be it women or men, right? Like, I never get that. I'm like, we can always help each other to do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what kind of, like, mired it for me, though it's not really surprising, right? It's
Mired
not
is a
really
good
mired.
word because like you don't dislike her. It just wasn't
Yeah,
she didn't live up to the character that maybe like as the international hero that she's been painted to be, that like she's still human, right?
yeah, she's still human, and I think that's what we are. We're all flawed. We all have, like, our faults, and I think I would, I think it's, yeah, I don't know. It's like it's much more about the concept of, like, I'm sitting here with the comfort of not having to fight as many battles as her, and I'm sitting here, like, passing
Because of
judgment
her.
of her
Because of her, we
right?
don't have to fight
Because of
quite as
her,
many battles.
exactly, and, like, passing judgment of, like, of her, and so it's, like, also not cool of
It's
me
okay though.
either, right?
Yeah, that's all right though.
But still, I do, like, I think this documentary, to that point, like, they showed that, and I thought it was really great to be like, people are people. They all, do things, and they, live their lives, and they try to make the least mistakes as possible, but they make a ton and they try again, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I really appreciated about it.
Good. I have a thought about our next one.
Yes,
Just
do it.
completely, we went from like deep under the water out
Yes,
to outer space.
out to space.
This one brings us back to Earth, but considering when we will record next, there is a 4-part documentary on Peacock about the history of reggaeton. And since we will be recording shortly before a halftime show that I am very, very, very excited about.
I'm
thinking maybe we should.
I think that sounds great.
Maybe we should watch the reggaeton, The Sound That Conquered the World. It is available in the US on Peacock.
Okay.
And I'm very excited because my new hat just showed up that I'm going to wear for the Super Bowl. That's Ask Me About My Lord and Savior, Bad Bunny.
Yes, indeed. Which is, I hopefully by the end, my favorite part is how pissed off people were about that. And I'm like, the man made
Puerto Rico is a state. Is he?
Yeah,
is he
also,
yeah.
Also, but he made billions. He made billions on a residency on an island that was recovering from a hurricane.
He has more was it Spotify? I think it was just on Spotify. Like he has more listens than anyone in the history of, except for maybe Taylor Swift, but like the data points are there.
Yes, it's
Y'all
a
are
business
fucking
decision. Dumb. Or just don't watch.
Yeah, like just also if you don't, it's stupid. It's not even political. The music is so good. I literally just
fun and you're just
I
like,
dare you, I triple dog dare you to sit completely still during a Bad Bunny song. Like,
yeah,
get the fuck out of here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No way. But I love that. Done. I think we
it.
should definitely
And it'll
do
feel,
that.
I mean, listen, there are parts in there that are not great, right? Like some of there's gang violence, but
of
like
course.
music,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. I think that should be our next pick in honor of the upcoming Super Bowl.
And we should do that all in one go, right? In one episode, or we
want?
Perfect.
No. It's 4 episodes, but I think we can like just
like
now that we have some head lead time, it's easy to just kind of plow through, and I don't think we need to break it up. Like the Pope one was 6 episodes. Like
that one. Yeah, I get that.
Years of history.
Yeah.
This one we just do in one go.
Perfect. Awesome. So I think, we have that. So that's for our next doc is in. And I think for our next episode, what we're going to talk about is a topic we disagree on. And I think to keep the space topic going, we're going to talk about how we disagree on space, which, to be honest with you, I think we don't really disagree, but I think there'll be points in there. But so please join us for our next episode. And also, as always, our email is open. Our chats are open. Feel free to DM us if you have questions, if you disagree, if you have topic ideas or wanna give us a doc is in rec. We'd be happy to hear from you. And yeah, as always, Elaine, take us out.
Stay interesting.